Have you ever watched someone genuinely good, someone with integrity, someone who plays by the rules, get absolutely crushed by life? Their career destroyed, their reputation in tatters, while someone else, someone who plays a different game entirely, rises effortlessly to the top? What if I told you that your goodness, that very quality you were taught to cherish, might be the exact thing holding you hostage in a world that doesn't always reward virtue? In the 16th century Florence, a man sat alone in exile, his political career destroyed, his body still bearing the marks of torture. Outside his window, the countryside stretched endlessly, mocking his confinement. This man, Niccolò Machiavelli, picked up his quill and began to write what would become one of history's most controversial works on power. "Men must either be caressed or annihilated," he wrote. "They will revenge themselves for small injuries, but cannot do so for great ones." 500 years later, in boardrooms and schoolyards, in relationships and politics, this brutal truth still whispers beneath the surface of our civilized veneer. The world didn't begin playing by Machiavelli's rules when he wrote them down. He simply had the courage to describe the game as it already existed. Today, we're going to explore the shadow realm where good people get destroyed, not to become cynical, but to become wise. Because sometimes, understanding darkness is the only way to truly protect your light. The Journey 1. The Virtue Trap. Think back to your childhood. Remember those stories you were told. The honest hero who triumphs, the kind princess who wins the day, the hard-working tortoise who beats the hare. These aren't just stories, they're promises. Promises that goodness will be rewarded, that honesty prevails, that kindness conquers. Now think about Sarah. Sarah worked at a mid-sized tech company for 8 years. Everyone loved her. She stayed late helping colleagues, covered for her boss during family emergencies, deflected praise to her team while absorbing blame herself. Sarah believed that her dedication would eventually be recognized. Then came the layoffs. Her boss, the very one whose family emergencies she had covered, called her into his office. "I'm sorry," he said, not quite meeting her eyes. "We're eliminating your position." Later that week, Sarah discovered the truth. Her role wasn't eliminated at all. It was given to the CEO's nephew, a man who had spent the last 6 months taking long lunches with executives, claiming credit for team successes, and masterfully navigating office politics. This is the virtue trap, the dangerous belief that goodness is its own protection. That playing fair means others will play fair with you. But nature doesn't work this way. Look at the gazelle. Its virtue doesn't save it from the lion. Its speed might. Its awareness might. But its moral character, irrelevant in the face of fangs and hunger. Human systems aren't so different. They weren't designed to reward goodness. They were designed to reward value and power. And while goodness can create value, it doesn't automatically create power. The gazelle that understands the lion isn't cynical, it's prepared. 2. The invisible game. Imagine 2 people playing chess. One knows the rules, the other thinks they're playing checkers. Who wins isn't a matter of character, it's a matter of awareness. This is perhaps Machiavelli's most profound insight. There isn't one game being played in human interactions. There are at least 2. There's the visible game with its stated rules of fairness and merit. And then there's the invisible game, the game of alliances, perception, and power. Let me tell you about Professor James. For 20 years he taught philosophy at a prestigious university. His students adored him. His lectures were profound. His research was brilliant, if understated. He lived the life of the mind, largely ignoring department politics, declining committee appointments, focusing instead on what truly mattered, the pursuit of wisdom. When the department chair retired, Everyone assumed James would step into the role. Instead, it went to Professor Miller, a man whose publication record was thin, but whose network was vast. A man who had spent years cultivating relationships with university donors, serving on committees, making himself visible to administration. James was playing checkers, the game of academic merit. Miller was playing chess, the game of institutional power. Was Miller a bad person? Not necessarily. He simply understood that excellence alone is rarely enough. Perception matters, relationships matter, the invisible architecture of influence matters. Good people often get destroyed not because they're good, but because they refuse to see the complete game board. They focus on the 9 visible squares while ignoring the 90 hidden ones beneath. 3. The empathy blind spot. There's something particularly painful about watching good people fall. Something that cuts deeper than just the injustice of it. It's that they never saw it coming. This blind spot has a name, the projection bias. We assume others think like we do, value what we value, play by our internal rules. Think about David, a small business owner who hired his cousin's friend to manage operations. The man came highly recommended, seemed passionate about the business, and shared David's vision. David gave him access to accounts, client information, everything needed to do the job well. Within a year, this trusted employee had siphoned $200,000, started a competing business, and taken David's top clients with him. When asked later why he never implemented basic oversight systems, David said something revealing. "It never occurred to me someone would do that. I would never do that to someone else." This is the empathy blind spot, the assumption that because you would never betray, others won't betray you. Because you value honesty, others must too. Machiavelli wasn't being cynical when he advised leaders to assume the worst in human nature. He was being observant. He recognized that while many people are good much of the time, almost anyone can rationalize self-interest when the stakes are high enough. The truly wise understand a paradoxical truth. You can believe in human goodness while still accounting for human weakness. You can offer trust while still building fortresses. Some call this cynicism. Machiavelli would call it clarity. 4. The strength of vulnerability. In the African savannah, there's a curious phenomenon. When a lion approaches a herd of gazelles, the strongest don't always survive. Sometimes it's the gazelles that appear weak, that limp slightly or lag behind, that escape the predator's jaws. Why? Because they've mastered something counterintuitive, strategic vulnerability. These gazelles, through their apparent weakness, become unpredictable. The lion, expecting an easy meal, is caught off guard when the limping gazelle suddenly bolts in an unexpected direction or stands its ground. Robert was a new sales director at a cutthroat corporation known for its internal politics. In his first executive meeting, when asked about his department's projections, he did something unusual. Instead of posturing or inflating numbers like his predecessors, he said, "I've been here 3 weeks. I don't have enough information yet to give you accurate projections. I could make something up to sound good, but I'd rather be honest and ask for your patience while I get a clear picture." The room fell silent. Everyone expected the CEO, notorious for his temper, to eviscerate Robert on the spot. Instead, something unexpected happened. The CEO smiled. "Finally," he said, "someone who doesn't waste my time with bullshit." From that moment, Robert had something his colleagues didn't, the CEO's genuine respect. His strategic vulnerability had transformed into authentic power. Machiavelli understood that appearing invulnerable often makes you more vulnerable. The prince who never shows weakness becomes predictable. The one who strategically reveals certain vulnerabilities while guarding others becomes a more complex opponent. Good people often get destroyed because they misunderstand strength. They believe strength means never showing cracks, never admitting uncertainty, never revealing fear. But true strength is knowing which vulnerabilities to reveal and to whom. Sometimes, the most powerful move in the game is to change the rules of engagement entirely. Here's the truth that sits at the heart of this entire conversation. A truth so simple yet so profound that it changes everything. The world doesn't reward good people or punish bad people. The world rewards valuable people who understand power dynamics. That's it. That's the secret Machiavelli discovered centuries ago, the revelation that got his book banned, his name turned into an adjective for evil. But here's what most people miss about Machiavelli. He wasn't advocating for evil, he was advocating for effectiveness. He wasn't telling princes to be cruel for cruelty's sake. He was telling them to be strategic about when kindness serves and when firmness is required. The most painful destruction isn't when good people fail. It's when they succeed by every metric they were taught to value, only to discover they were measuring the wrong things entirely. Like the student who gets straight A's, only to find the job market values portfolio projects more than grades. Or the employee who exceeds performance metrics, only to watch promotions go to those who navigate office politics better. This isn't just about workplace dynamics or political gamesmanship. This is about understanding that human systems have both stated rules and unstated ones. Both matter. Both are real. And here's the truly liberating part. Understanding this doesn't mean abandoning your goodness. It means protecting it effectively. It means recognizing that naivety isn't a virtue, it's a vulnerability. So, what does this mean for you? The person who wants to remain good in a world that doesn't always reward goodness. First, recognize that awareness isn't the same as adoption. You can understand power games without becoming consumed by them. The difference between wisdom and cynicism is what you do with your knowledge. Second, consider that effectiveness in service of good is itself a form of goodness. Being ineffective, even with pure intentions, helps no one. The doctor who refuses to learn anatomy because it's too political doesn't help patients. The activist who refuses to understand media dynamics doesn't change minds. Third, understand that power itself is neutral. Like fire, it can warm a home or burn it down. The problem isn't power, it's what some people do with it, and abandoning power entirely simply ensures it remains concentrated in fewer hands. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, create inner fortresses that don't depend on external validation. The executive who needs constant approval is easily manipulated. The artist whose worth depends entirely on critics' opinions is perpetually vulnerable. Build internal measures of success that matter to you, regardless of whether the world recognizes them. As we navigate this complex world of visible and invisible games, perhaps the most important question isn't, how can I avoid getting destroyed? But rather, what kind of strength am I cultivating? Is it the brittle strength that looks impressive but shatters under pressure? Or is it the resilient strength that bends without breaking, that understands both light and shadow, that can play multiple games simultaneously without losing its core? Machiavelli's world isn't separate from the world of virtue and goodness. It's the very same world, just seen through both eyes instead of one. In our next exploration, we'll examine why the most self-aware people often seem the most detached, and what their emotional distance might be protecting that the rest of us have left exposed. Until then, remember, the good person who understands darkness isn't corrupted by it. They're finally equipped to truly protect what matters.